Gregg, you're the CEO of Cree and Wolfspeed, so thank you very much for taking the time. Today you announced a $1 billion plan to expand capacity within Wolfspeed. Tell me more about it. Why this big investment?
Well, thanks. We're going to spend $1 billion increasing our capacity for silicon carbide, GaN materials, and for our wafer fabrication. And I think the real key is that customers are seeing the value of these technologies, and they have a strong desire to design them in. And what they're looking for is assurance that we're going to have the supply to meet that demand. So with today's $1 billion capacity investment over the next 5 years, we will increase our capacity when compared to when we started the capacity increase in 2017. We will increase it by 30 times. And I think customers are going to look at that and say, wow, that's going to give me a significant amount of capability.
That's huge because priorly you said, okay, we have doubled it since 2017 and double it again. So it's 15 times more than expected before.
That is exactly right. And the reason for that is the customer demand is really, really strong. So we're engaged with many different customers in various different stages of design in. And one of the key questions they ask is, how are we going to be assured that you're going to have the capacity? Well, now we're going to have 30 times the capacity. We're going to have a giant mega factory for our materials. We're going to open up a second factory for our materials, which is on a different power grid. We're going to have a state-of-the-art 200 millimeter qualified, automotive qualified wafer fab. So this is all really good news for our customers.
So to bring it down again a little bit, there are several different steps or measures where you're putting in the money. So tell me more about it. How much money are you putting in which direction?
Well, we're going to take $450 million and invest it into our materials capability. So that's silicon carbide, crystal growth, epi, GaN epi, and all of those sorts of things to create this mega factory for materials and to open up a second factory. And then we'll take another $450 million and build out an existing empty shell that will turn into our 200 millimeter wafer fab. That wafer fab at $450 million will be less than half the cost of what it would be new, because we have an existing shell. We're going to be putting in refurbished materials or refurbished equipment. And that's really important, because what it's going to do is it's going to keep our cost down. And keeping that cost down is really important as we ramp this technology.
So you said you have we'll have a new wafer fab, which is 8-inch capable. Can you tell us a little bit more about the plans to migrate from 6-inch to 8-inch?
We'll be opening up that factory. We anticipate opening up that factory in our fiscal 2022. And during that time, we will most likely ramp up 150 millimeter in that. We'll take the 200 millimeter equipment and just have it capable to run the smaller wafer diameters. And then probably a couple years later, we transition into 200 millimeter. That'll be a very easy transition, because it'll be the same equipment, the same process flows, and so forth. So we will likely start the ramp with 150 millimeter, and then we'll move to 200 millimeter.
So when we met last year here at PCIM, you said the target is to quadruple the revenue of Wolfspeed. Is still this the guidance, the goal to go for?
Yeah, we mentioned to our investors at last year's Investor Day that we were going to take Wolfspeed from a little over $200 million in revenue to $850 million in 2022. If you look at our last quarter's results, we're already on a really good path. We're already well over $500 million on an annualized basis with Wolfspeed. Wolfspeed is now our largest business. And 18 months ago, it was our smallest business. So the focus of growing that business is very, very clear. And we intend to have another investor day sometime towards the end of the middle of this year, maybe in September, and we'll update our numbers at that point.
It's still in progress, but you're selling the lighting business, which used to be the biggest part of Cree. So are you investing the money you get out of that for that? Is that going into this $1 billion investment?
That's certainly part of the plan. So, this $1 billion will be invested over a 5-year period. We'll post the lighting deal closing, we'll have $1 billion in cash that we have access to, and we also have free cash flow that we have access to as well. So we'll use some of our cash as part of this. We'll also use some of our free cash flow.
Gregg, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure always talking to you.